Greetings, this is Ron Smalek, and I'm reading Mockingjay, which is the third book in the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. What follows are my thoughts chapter by chapter. In chapter 11, I really like the beginning of this chapter because as the refugees, rebels, etc., are in the vault under District 13 waiting for the bombing to end, um, they basically are bored. They've just got a small plot of land where they're able to sleep and store their stuff as they wait. And Katniss basically comes up with this game that she calls Crazy Cat. And this is a game that I used to play with my cat whenever I was young. Basically, you take a flashlight, you shine it on the ground, and the cat will chase it all around and scurry, and you can make it kind of chase it up the walls, etc. And Katniss describes that in her mind, this game has also become a metaphor for her and Peeta's relationship. And the gist of it is that, as she puts the light, she can make it stand still and the cat will wait to pounce. But if she puts it just out of his reach, the cat just starts going crazy trying to get at it. But as long as it's within the cat's reach, the cat can either chase it or not. But once it's out of the cat's reach, the cat doesn't know what to do with itself. And that's how she feels with Peeta being trapped in the Capitol. Eventually, they do leave the shelter, and they find that the first top 10 floors have been bombed and basically destroyed, including their old rooms, which I thought was interesting. 10 floors is a pretty big amount to have caved in, and they decide to go outside and do some filming of Katniss as she sort of surveys the wreckage and sees what happens. And there was a really weird moment where she comes across pink and red rose petals on the ground in front of the Justice Building. And at first I thought, okay, yeah, they're going to be poison. There's a trap here, but there really wasn't. It was just like this silent warning that only Katniss would be able to interpret. And she thinks that the pink roses are her and the red roses are Peeta, I think it was, or vice versa. But I was like, what? It's so weird. Like, why would President Snow order that? That just the chance that she would even see it, and then the chance that she would interpret it. It just seemed kind of weird to me. But um, then basically, Katniss finds out that a team is being assembled of volunteers to go and rescue Peeta because at this point, everyone knows that Peeta being captured is just tormenting her. And she's surprised to find out that Gale was the first person to volunteer to go on the rescue mission. In chapter 12, we find Katniss wondering how Haymitch went from being a victor in the Hunger Games at the age of 16, and he must have had a family and such then, to where he is today, where he has no family and he basically lives in a bottle. She starts to try to understand, like, what did he go through? What changed him? Where did all his loved ones go? At this point, the raid has already left, including Gale, to go and get Peeta, and so she is just beside herself while she's waiting. Finnick was also left behind because the raid is going to rescue Annie, which is the girl that we think he's in love with. And so they're basically given a job to distract them, but also to distract the Capitol while the raid is going on. They're going to broadcast. The original idea is for Katniss to tell a story or sing a song that would get President Snow's attention. She tries, but Finnick really steals the show when he talks about the fact that as a victor, he was basically pimped by President Snow. He was basically a slave, a sex slave, and sold for his body. And that while he was performing that duty, he heard all kinds of secrets from the rich of the capital. And he starts to spill his secrets, including secrets about President Snow. And this definitely gets the Capitol's attention. BT is hacking the feed so that these are going out on live TV. We find out that I think, I don't think this is a typo, I don't think this is Finnick exaggerating, but we find out Snow's first name, which is Coriolanus, and um, just the last four letters of that word stuck out in my mind, anus. So I was like, his first name is Coriolanus Snow. It seemed kind of weird. Um, Finnick reveals that Snow's secret weapon and the way that he rose to power is basically by poisoning his rivals or poisoning people that didn't agree with him. And at some point, President Snow sipped from his own poisoned cup to demonstrate that it wasn't really poison and he had taken an antidote beforehand. But I guess the antidote wasn't strong enough, and so he has bleeding mouth sores that to this day, that's why he covers the blood smell from his mouth with the scent of roses. And I wondered, how far back in the series did Suzanne Collins plan this as an explanation for the blood and roses? Was that known back in the first book, or did she think of this after Katniss had smelled it on his breath? I think in the middle of the second book. So the raid returns. They have successfully rescued Pita and Johanna and Annie and a couple others from the capital, um, but not Enobaria. Enobaria wasn't found, I think. And as soon as Katniss sees Peter, he lunges at her and begins choking her.